Now, the 10th house is a great house to study in Vedic astrology, and it's also one that I think a lot of people might not quite understand exactly how it works. Of course, the 10th house is said to deal with career. It's called the Karma Bhava. It has an affinity with Capricorn and Saturn. Now, the reason I say that there might be some misunderstandings around the 10th house is because the 10th house really shows the capacity for our activity to karmically impact the world. So yes, if we have planets in the 10th, that'll give us a strong sense of what kind of activity are we going to take in the world based on those planets. But really, what I found is that the 10th house shows how much do our efforts either bear fruit or how are they taken notice of. It's more of a status-related house based on our activity. Now, when we're looking at career, we do want to look at the 10th house, but we also need to look at many other areas of the chart. We need to look at the first house. We need to look at the ascendant lord. We need to look at the Atmakarika. Because all these things are going to show us what is the person interested in, what direction might they go. And based on all those influences, then we can see, well, how much impact can this make on the world? And that's where the 10th house comes into play. Same thing with the second house, influences to the second house. That almost always shows me what kind of things is a person going to do to make their money, to earn their resources, to make a living. So what we can see is career is not as simple as it used to be. And I know I've mentioned this before. Many years ago, you were a servant, you were a blacksmith, you were a cook, you were a writer or a doctor. There are a farmer. There are these basic things. And maybe writer wasn't the right option because not many people wrote much back in the day. A scribe, how about that? But there are these basic things that you were involved in religion, and you got involved in a career and you went in a certain direction, and it was a little simpler. But today, with the way the world is set up, there are so many different things that you can do. And there are so many different avenues that you can take within one certain career. You can be a doctor, yes, but maybe you're a specialist. You can be a writer, yes, but maybe you don't write books. Maybe you write software, which would get Rahu involved. So when it comes to using astrology to predict career, unless it is obvious, you've got Mars in the 10th house and Ketu in the ascendant, and they are an Aries ruled person. Well, maybe they're an engineer. It's a little bit easier to say things when they line up just perfectly like that. But most people don't have those types of careers. And oftentimes people change careers as they go through life nowadays, so they don't stay in one spot. So if the influences within a chart are very basic, very black and white, sure, that's easy. But that's not really the case. I mean, just look around at the people that you know. How many of them are just doing one particular thing within their work, within their career? Usually they have many different areas that they have to tap upon, and many different skills that they have to draw upon. So anyway, career is interesting. And when I look at career, I look at the ascendant lord, the Atmakarika. See what does that say? What is that going to get the person involved in based on interests? I look at the second house to see what are they probably going to do to help earn their resources, because that'll play a role in it. I look at the 10th house to see what are the planets in that 10th house. What is the capacity for them to gain success or status through the work that they do. And I also look at the Dasamsha in a very similar way. But with the Dasamsha, we want to look at Saturn to see, will the person be able to work hard to be successful in their chosen field, to have a successful impact on the world? Will they be able to put aside their suffering? Will they be able to make sacrifices to be great? That's Saturn in the Dasamsha. Then you can look at the Sun in the Dasamsha. Will this person have status? Good dignity Sun, it gives them more status in that regard. And one thing you can check are bhavas within the Dasamsha. The lords that own bhavas, those lords that are in the best dignity, those can indicate the things which the person will have more success or achievement with in life. So again, career, this 10th house, there's a lot to it, and you do have to look at the entire chart, have to know how to assess the entire chart, which is, again, the goal of the step-by-step course, as well as the Navamsha and Dasamsha course, we put these things together, then we get a really good sense of what the person's going to do and when. But back to the 10th house specifically. So the 10th house indicates our public status in life, achievements within the material world. The 10th house is related to concrete professional achievements, to our personal ambitions. Planets here can show the kind of relationship we have to our bosses, to people in authority, to executives. It shows our capacity to manage things and to have executive skills. Really, planets in the 10th house dominate the rest of the chart. So just like the first lord and the first house are extremely powerful, the 10th house itself, planets in there can be very powerful to show what is going to color this person's way of being within the world. The 10th deals with fame and honor, deeds performed to benefit society. Of course, they don't have to be performed to benefit society. You get malefic planets in there, and it might not benefit society. It could hurt society. The specific indications for the 10th house, again, career, ability for the career to impact the world, to be successful in career. Shows our professional activities. To a degree, our dharma or life purpose, more so the activity we take. I look to the 9th house as dharma. Fame, honor, respectability. If you want to know if a person is well known for something, if they are respected, look to the planets in the 10th. If they're good dignity, then they'll be respected for those things. And planets in the 10th, think about what house they rule. And if they're in good dignity, those house lords will support the status in life. For example, ruler of the 7th in the 10th, in good dignity, can show that the spouse or partnerships support our status and our achievement in life. Ruler of the 7th in bad dignity in the 10th can show that partnerships or our spouse detracts from our status or our, what's the word? The kind of honor that we have within the world, like what are we known for? If we have the ruler of the 3rd in the 10th house, where our skills, or even our brothers or our peers, can help to support our activity within the world. So any planets in good dignity in the 10th support our activity within the world. Any planets in bad dignity in the 10th can detract from our activity in the world, or ruin our status and fame. Maybe a person's famous because their spouse did something really horrible. Well, that's 7th Lord bad in the 10th house. If the 8th Lord is in the 10th house, maybe we're really famous for some sort of crisis situation or transformational situation or even for our sexuality. Bad dignity goes the other way. Think about people who get involved in scandals, sex scandals. 8th Lord's going to be involved in there somewhere, and so is the 10th. The 10th does deal with authority figures, eminent people, government officials, and also government work. There are a lot of karakas for the 10th house. Mercury, Sun, Jupiter, Saturn. Mercury is the karaka for our ability to manage our capacity to impact the world. It's the managing capacity. Sun is the status, the eminence that we rise to. Jupiter is the dharmic aspect of our activity within the world, how it fits into the bigger picture. And Saturn is our ability to work hard, to endure the obstacles, to suffer the pain, to make the sacrifices, to be great. All of these good, you're in good shape, which is why there are so many people in the world that aren't that well known, because you can't usually have all 4 of these planets excellent at one time. Same thing with the Dasamsha. You have to check the Dasamsha too to make sure there's confluence there, as I've mentioned earlier in this video. So the 10th house is a Kendra house, or an angular house, as well as an Upachaya house, or a house of increase and growing. It's the highest point in the chart. The 4th house is the lowest. It's the highest point in the chart, and very, very dynamic in the ability to raise us up in life. And planets in the 10th really, truly color how people see us or how we act within the world. So oftentimes I take planets in the 10th above the 1st house lord if it's stronger, because that'll show what people appreciate when they're within our field, or the way that we typically act and respond to the world. So first house is our personality. 10th house is our activity and our action.